Done. Alright guys, what we're doing today is we putting some new coilovers on the front of the Lexus is250. Lowering it down a bit. I already got coilovers on the rear. I don't know if you can see that. If you see it's red in there, that's a coilover for the rear. And I don't think I did a video for that. But we ain't gonna worry about that. We're gonna go with what we're doing today. Alright, and that is the coilover there. Adjustable coilovers, right? Alright, here's the tools you're gonna need. I'll suggest you get you a 19-inch long bar wrench. You're not gonna need that 18. You're gonna need that 10. You're gonna need a 19mm socket, 17 hammer, probably the pry tool, Phillips head, your ratchet, and of course this is the other handle for the to take the wheel off. I got me a rubber hammer, and you're gonna need you a impact wrench, a gun, which you're really gonna need this big boy right here to take off this one bolt. But anyway, let's get started. You're also gonna need your jack up the car, of course. You're gonna need another jack to be able to push up on the control arm at the bottom, so when this thing drops, it don't flop out here and hit you, or it don't snap your line right here, because you got your brake line and you got your wheel sensor line right here. I'm gonna tell you about that also. Got my little light in here. Alright guys, now of course you're gonna go up here at some point up top and you're gonna loosen these up, but don't take these off. Just have them loose, because this is gonna be the last thing you're gonna do. Because when your shock drops, when your shock is all ready to be disassembled, you're gonna need it for that to hold it up there so it don't just pop out, right? And I've already got everything already pretty much done, so I'm just gonna go and show you how it should have been done, right? Or what I've already done. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna come here, and you got your you always gotta be careful about your wires. Like I said, this is your speed wire, your speed cable, right? It's a 10mm, and it's gonna be bolted right there. So you just take that, and you see I got the bolt in there. You just take that off of there, and this other one is gonna be connected to your shock itself. You just take that out of that little hole right there, right, and you let it hang. And of course, you're gonna need your bungee cord to catch this when you drop it down, right? Now this is gonna be a 17mm, and of course it has a cotter pin in there. Pay close attention to how that cotter pin is in there, right? See that little tip right there? That tip is gonna catch onto there. That keeps this bolt from spinning, just in case it gets loose, so it don't come out and you don't have an accident on the highway. But anyway, that's your cotter pin there. But this is a 17mm. I'm gonna put that back, right? Now what you're not gonna need to do is you're not gonna need to mess with your, wait a minute. You're not gonna need to mess with your tie rod. This is your tie rod right there. You're not gonna need to mess with that, so don't worry about that, right? But you are gonna have to take this stabilizer bar, this bar end right here. You're gonna take this out, and this is a 17mm, so you don't need to take the bottom one off, just the top one, right? So it can drop down and you don't be pulling on your stabilizer bar. You just take this bolt, you unscrew this, you get this bolt off right here, and then I just put the bolt back on there so I know where it's at, so I don't be looking for it, right? Take that off and let it just hang there. All right, and that's all your precautions. You got everything out of the way. There's your brake line right there. Here's your shock, and as you can see, these boots are torn. So I will have to replace the boot anyway, but I'm putting these lowering shocks on it, right? Okay, so once you got all that done and prepared, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come down here, and I already taken it out, but this bolt right here, Of course, I would drop it. Now for this right here, this bolt right here, it's gonna go in here like this. And this is the end you're gonna put your gun on right there. That's a 17 millimeter. And you're gonna have your 19 millimeter, and you're gonna have it on here. Because when you use the gun to unloosen the bolt, it's gonna spin, and it's both of these are gonna spin, and it's not gonna get it off. So you're gonna need this long bar to control the spinning of this nut right here. Right, so just imagine it on there. Just imagine it on there like that. And you got your gun on this side, unscrewing this, and this bar right here, it's gonna be down here like this, lock. So when it's spinning, it does spin that bolt, and it's gonna screw it out. It's gonna screw it out most of the way, right? But that's when you're gonna have to take your, I use a flathead, right? Because when this bolt comes off here, it's gonna be in there like that. And if you see this hole right here where I got the Phillips head in, you're gonna take this Phillips head in there like that. You're gonna take that Phillips head like that, and you're gonna hit on the Phillips head to push that bolt out. Right? Let me see if I'm showing it. And you're gonna hit on that to push that bolt out. But that bolt is gonna be stuck in there, right? It's gonna be in there like that, and you use that screw to push that bolt out like that, and it's gonna come out this end. That's the only way you're really gonna get that bolt out of there, right? Use that screwdriver to bang on that end to push it out. And once you get it out like that, I should put this back on here so I remember it. Sorry about the dog in the background. The neighbors, I guess they trying to train a dog or something. He's a baby. Anyway, let me get this out of the way. I always try to keep my bolts and stuff together. Anyway, and once you get that bolt out, right, you got everything else loose. Then you're gonna come up here because you got to get this you got to get this control arm out of the way, right, so you can get to the shock. That's why you're gonna come up here. I took my pin out, put the 17 millimeter on here, and screw that off. Remember, get your cord ready, and also you're gonna have this jacked up against here. Press up on it so it don't drop down and hit you, right? That's the point of this jack. Put that underneath the bottom of the control arm to hold that in place. And you're gonna unscrew this right here. As you can see, it's coming out, right? And you might have to, it might be stuck, so you might have to take your hammer and bang it upward. Tap it, just tap it. It should start forcing its way upward like that. And if you see what I was telling you, let me show you when I start to, let me put my bungee cords on here so it don't, it's kind of hard to do with holding this phone. But I'm gonna try to drop it just slightly with the, all right, I dropped it just enough to clear it. And I got my bungee cords, and I'm gonna stick them in there to catch it. Yeah, see how it just flopped out of there? But luckily I got my cords, and see how it stretched the cables? See that brake line cable? If it wasn't for this bungee cord, it would have just dropped this, all this weight would have just dropped. And you'd have had to buy a new line. So I gotta try to adjust this so I don't lose it. Alright. Kind of got it stable like that. All right, and that's holding that in place. Also, you could take something like this here and press up against it to push it back forward a little bit. But anyway, then you have access to your shock. Now, the next step you're going to do, you're going to take your, remember those bolts are still in there, because that's the only thing that's keeping this in here is these bolts, and it's sitting in here. And remember, this thing is under pressure because it's a gas shock, right? It even tells you right there. It says, do not feel open, do not under pressure, right? You can't see that because it's kind of blurry. But from that point, you're going to have to pry this out of here, right? And so just a bunch of prying. You're going to have to pry, take this, I can't do it with one hand, but you're going to take your something and put down in there, right? And you're going to have to pry this out of here, right? Because remember, it's under pressure. It's a shock, so it's collapsed right now, and it's all that pressure is pushed down in there and up here. See those coils? That's pressure. So that's why you want to be real careful. And also, you want to step to the side when you first starting to lower this down. So like right now, I can jack it back up to take some of this pressure off of here, so I don't have any issues. I want to show you how it lifts up the control arm. You see how that's going up? See how that's moving up? Let's take some of the pressure off there and give you access to it. But anyway, I'm going to pry this out of here. I can't do it with one hand, so just stay tuned. Start. Alright, here I go. I got my stand now, so I get a better chance to show you guys how to get that out of there. Of course, you want to make sure that line is out of the way, right? And I got me a little pry tool, a steel pry tool, right? And like I said, you're going to stick it down in there. And you're going to try to pry it out. I'm going to take my Phillips head first. See how it's trying to come out. And it's on the wheel, so it's not going to be that hard. I could try to pry it from the back. It's not going to be so good. So I pry it from, let me try from this end. I'm trying to keep from being these guys away. So you get a good, oh, go ahead, good visual. Gotta watch that line. Alright, it's getting ready to come out. Because it's a wheel, so you might want to try to take something else to guide it. Like I said, it's under pressure, so you got to be real careful. And wear your safety glasses, guys, if you got it. Try not to have your face down in there when you're doing this. It's trying to move. See, get ready to slide. Get ready to jump out the way if you got to. That's why you want those bolts up top to still be secure. So when it drops down, it don't kick itself out and pinch it. Right? This is getting ready to come out. Put it in that little hole. Step back. Get ready. See it sliding out of there. Watch that line. There it goes. And it's out of there. And see how if I not had it hanging, those bolts hanging, then guess what? It would just popped out of there. So now I go up top here. Take my phone. Now I'm gonna go up the top here. With my bolts that I loosened up earlier off camera. And you see that's what's holding it up. These bolts, that's the only thing that's keeping this in here. Take these bolts off, that's the one last bolt. Now I'm gonna need my hand back. I'm gonna try to sit this right here like that. Use my other hand to hold the bottom. Oh, I'm gonna need my, what is that, a 14 millimeter? So I'm gonna need, I don't think I mentioned a 14 millimeter, but you need a 14 millimeter to get these off the top. So here we go. Got that on there. Ready to catch it. Alright, see how that dropped out of there? Grab my bolt. Under here. And there she is. She's ready to come out of there. Oh, she's heavy too. She would hurt my hand. So I can just adjust this and move this around. Watch it. This thing is heavy. Watch it, it'll drop on you. Right. Swing my thing back around. And there you go. She's out of there. You see my boot was done, shot up, ready to go. Here's how they look side by side. Now what you want to do before you put it back, put the new one in, you want to line them up together, right? And you got to make sure they're at the same height. Now you have your collars here you can use to adjust, and you set your preload, right? I'm going to leave it where it's at. And it comes with a wrench, of course, that you use to tighten this up, and you can adjust your ride height. But before you put them on there, you want to set a preload on it, which I'm just going to hand tighten mine for now, and make sure they both line up, right? And they're both at the same length. And what you're going to do is, you're going to take your bolts off each one of these, right? And you're going to prepare to push this in there, right? So you're going to come up here, and you're going to, let me see if I can reset my camera up so I can give you guys the best angle. Right, I don't really think you guys are smart enough to know you guys can take it from here. I'll just show you anyway. That's the best way to get this thing back in here. That made a minute a little too high. I'm gonna show you, give you guys the best angle to show you guys how to put this back in here without any major problems. Right. Of course, you're going to take this end right here, and you're going to sit it down in here. Now, first thing you gotta recognize where this is in, because this is going to be where your speed sensor sits. So you want to have this end facing that way when you put it in there, right? And of course you can adjust it, but you don't want to put the bottom in first. You're going to put the top in first and have one of your screws ready, right? Have your screw ready, So you could go up top. You're gonna line it up top first. I don't know if you can see that, but you line it up. Let me get it in there first, and then I'll show you guys. You're gonna line it up in that hole first, right? Then you're gonna put one bolt on there to hold it in place. Then you're gonna come down here and you're gonna seat this inside of here, right? Now, of course, I got my jack dropped all the way down, but I still got it pressed up against there. I lowered my jack down, and the jack is not holding it up. It's just pressed against there to keep anything from moving, right? It's just barely making contact with it, right? So I got my jack lowered, which lowered my control arm. Like I said, I'm gonna go up here, and I'm gonna seat this up inside of that. I'm gonna push this up in here. See if I can do it with one hand. I might be able to. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna line this up. And I'm gonna line that up. Alright, let me see if I can put the phone right there. Alright, I got one hand. I'm gonna line that up. I'm just going to alright, there we go. I got pushed through there. Put the ring back on here. And as long as I got one on there, I'm good. You can get all three, good. You don't want to tighten it up. Just put it on there to secure it. Right, since I got it in there, I'm always going to put all three on there. And like I said, you're not going to tighten it up because you're going to have to make adjustments down at the bottom. And you don't want it stiff on you. Right? Alright, let's sit it down in there. Now I want to come back down here, and you see it's up in there, right? Flush up against there, but it's not seated in there. That's no problem. That's where your jack comes in. Remember I told you about having your jack. Now you're going to take your jack, and this is how my jack works. All right, I got the handle, and I'm going to crank it up. See how it's moving? Now watch that. Watch it. Watch it. See how it's moving into the slot? See how it moved back into there? Now that's where I'm going to take my, what do I do with my bolt? Let me get my bolt real quick. Here's my bolt over here. And remember which way you had it in there, right? And you're going to put it back in there the same way you had it, going that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bolt, and I'm going to go here and check the hole to make sure the hole is lined up perfectly. I'm going to adjust it so I can put my, let me put this back on the tripod so you guys can see what I'm doing. Kind of shaky today with the camera. I used it better than this. Alright, bear with me though. Let's see, I got the jack in the way. This adjustment. Alright. Put it down. Like I said, I'm gonna jack it up to where I can get the line up. I gotta get the shot to line up with the hole. Right. I have to tap it a little more on the jack. Get that pressure off of it. And what I can do is I can take my rubber hammer and just tap it through there. You don't want to use a regular hammer because regular hammer is going to might strip the threads on there. So you take this hammer here and push it through. See how it went through there? Can you see that? Yeah, you saw that going there. And I can put my other bolt on this end. right? And then I'm going to take my impact gun and I'm going to tighten that down off camera. Now, once I tighten that down, then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go up here, jack this back up, and I'm going to put this back into place, right? But that's once I tighten that down. I'm going to do that off camera, right? But once I get that tightened down, I'm going to push this back in here and push this back up on here, tighten this back down, and put that cotter pin back in there, right? Because you don't want to try to connect your cables, your speed sensor cables back, because there's not enough room to get it. Because remember, your speed cable is going to be on here, so you got to get this back into place so the cable is not stretched anymore. But once you put this back on here, screw it down, put the cotter pin back in there, then you're going to connect your speed sensor line back right there and back right there. And I forgot. Once I take it back, you're going to put this back into place first, connect it back up there, then you can connect your bar end back. You're going to screw this back into here, that bolt right there. And the last thing you're going to do is put your speed sensor back in here and connect it back there. And then you're done. And it's in, well, I forgot. Once all that's done, you're going to come back up here and you're going to adjust your screws. You're going to tighten it back down. Right? That's the last thing you're going to do, is you're going to tighten these back down. And of course, you're going to, when you put the wheel back on there and drop it down, you're going to get your ride height, and you're going to adjust your ride height using a tool, right, to have you want it. And that's a whole different video on how to adjust the ride height. And I don't think I posted one, but somebody has a video on how to adjust your ride height. But anyway, that's how you change out your OEM front shocks on the is250, and you change them out for some lowering coilovers. Stay tuned, Stunner. Alright, that's where we at. That's how much tuck we got. I don't know if you can see it there. You can get a finger in there. That's about what it looked like. More on this side. Yep, until I make adjustments. That's how low it is off the ground. It's probably about 2 inches. Going around and look to the back. I think the back even tucked even further in there. Can't even get a finger in there. Gotta put my spats back on there. Stand up.